It's Thursday, the 2nd of November. My name's Juan Brown. You're watching the Blancolirio channel. And finally, today, some good news to report here on the Blancolirio channel. A successful dead-stick landing of this turbocharged Cessna 210 single-engine aircraft into Aspen's airport in Colorado. Let's check it out. And if you're always wondering what the term dead stick means, well, it comes from the old days of aviation when you saw this picture right here when propellers were made of wood and the engine quit. In this case, the engine was seized up and the propeller was not turning at all. Dead stick. Just got back from Spanish Fork, Utah, where the good folks over at Hangar 107 had an excellent aviation safety seminar featuring me and Mike Patey. Got this neat award from there. Check out this live feed video and the link below, and particularly scroll forward or fast forward to the Mike Patey briefing on his current situation with aviation and the friends that he has lost recently due to aviation accidents. A very sobering presentation by Mike Patey. Check it out. This incident occurred back on the 13th of October, and I've since had a telephone interview with the pilot, and we'll get him on here for a online interview here soon. He was doing a routine flight in the 210 from Boulder Airport here in Colorado to Montrose Airport in Colorado over some of the highest terrain, the Rocky Mountains in the western United States. And this engine failure, we're going to look at the data, and we've got ATC audio and a little video clip. This engine failure occurred just after he had crossed this last huge ridge of mountains past Hagerman Pass, nearly abeam the Aspen Airport. So he couldn't have been more fortunate in where the engine failure occurred on this particular direct routing of flight over the Rocky Mountains. It had recently snowed over the tops of the Rockies, and Chris, the pilot, was taking some pictures of these beautiful mountains as he was flying over, and he said this picture he shot just before the engine failed. So I believe Aspen is in this valley up ahead. Very inhospitable terrain for an engine failure in a single-engine aircraft. Here's the ADS-B data from Flight Radar 24 of November 6-1 Mike Foxtrot, coming out of Boulder, and he's maintaining his 16,500 foot VFR hemispheric cruise altitude. By the way, this is a turbocharged Cessna 210. Let's go look at that real quick. A 1983 turbocharged Cessna 210N, so it's not pressurized, but turbocharged with a TSI 0520 engine, and he also had this aircraft modified with speed brakes. Now, the gear and the flaps and the speed brakes on the 210 are all powered electrically. So even though the engine failed and seized up, he still had enough electrical power to deploy all of those systems. And just to clarify the gear on the Cessna 210, it's an electro-hydraulic system. So it uses hydraulic pressure to raise and lower the gear, but is electrically actuated, and the hydraulics are pressurized in this later model 210 by an electric hydraulic pump, which replaced the earlier engine-driven hydraulic pumps on earlier model of Cessnas. So while en route from Boulder to Montrose, here at 16,500 feet, somewhere back in here is where he got that last photograph, and he's maintaining his altitude, and it must have been right over this highway that this engine failed, because that's where he begins his diversion into Aspen. So he's at 16.5, and he's got to get down to Aspen's airport elevation, which is about 7,800 feet, and the field length is 8,000 feet. So he's got a lot of altitude to lose in a very short amount of time. Now, it doesn't really show it very well on the data here, but in the phone interview with Chris, he explained how he did a couple of circles or descending 360-degree turns in order to get down into the Aspen airport. He's maintaining between 90 and 100 or so knots, and he gets the gear down early to help facilitate the rapid descent down into Aspen. He also was concerned about getting the gear down without having to use the manual gear extension, which would take 40 to 50 pumps with a hand pump. But the gear came down just fine electrically using the electric hydraulic pump. Now let's review the ATC audio.
Mayday, 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 Centurion 6-1, Mike Fox, is Mayday, engine just quit.
Centurion 6-1, Mike Fox, Aspen approach, Aspen altimeter 3023, say your position and nature of emergency.
The engine just quit, we are no power, I need the closest runway or flat spot, please.
Number 6-1, Mike Foxtrot, Roger. You are about 4 miles to the southeast of the Aspen Airport. The wind is 050 at 4. Advise you got the airport in sight.
Oh, for God's sakes, I do. Thank you.
Okay. Chris had been using flight following throughout his entire flight, and he had just switched from Denver to Aspen as he flew near their airspace, and I think he was just transitioning to those guys. That's why they asked to verify his position. And there was a bank of clouds obscuring the view of the runway initially. That's why it took Chris a minute or a couple of seconds before he could verify that he could see the airport just a few miles away. So he has to maneuver down below a deck of clouds that we'll see here in a minute.
6-1, Mike Foxtrot, that's verified. You do have the field inside. You may proceed inbound for runway 33 or runway 15 left downwind if you like.
Okay. Let me catch my breath here.
Executive 110, flight heading 080.
Then a 080 heading.
So like most emergencies, the controller still has to continue to work the other aircraft that are on the frequency.
Number 6-1, Mike Foxtrot, advise if you would like radar vectors inbound or if you want to circle your discretion, that is also approved.
There's a cloud layer over Aspen. We're gonna circle out here where we have a view, can maintain a view of it until we get down. What is the elevation of Aspen? Thank you, sir. Okay, we're at 14.4, so we're doing okay. I'm gonna try for a restart.
The MBA in your area, right below you, is 12,900 to the south. It does start increasing up to 14,900.
Roger, thank you. I've got a good visual on the airport as long as I stay here on the south end of it, looks like.
He's got to stay on the south end to avoid the clouds.
Skyshare 871, turn left heading 080.
080, Skyshare 871.
Snake 11 flight, contact Denver approach on 126 point. Actually, stand by. Let me get the frequency for you.
That takes a lot of
Heading
airtime.
290 vector delay, maintain 16,000.
290, 16,000, Android Bravo.
Number 6-1, Mike Foxtrot, the wind here at the Aspen Airport of 01, correction 050 at 4. And I do have the full weather if you are able to accept it at this time.
0.52.
Winds 050 or 010 at 4 or 5 knots. So light winds out of the north. So good conditions for landing to the north.
Okay, we have a gear down. We're good. The engine will not turn over. So I'm a sailplane for the moment. I don't need the weather.
Is this Centurion going to be
give me the runways again.
Number 6-1, Mike Foxtrot, the runway is going to be runway short after landing northbound. Range of landing, position northbound.
Northerly past Alpha 6 for landing traffic emergency inbound.
Okay, I will be landing 33. Okay, and field elevation again is about 7,800 feet.
Okay, we're getting some bleed over from the Aspen Tower. I don't know if that's Victor 2 bleeding over or if it's because he's so close to the airport that that information is bleeding over. But he's confirming with Aspen. He's doing a great job using Aspen as an additional crew member to get him information as a single pilot in an emergency situation. He's also using just one frequency. He's not going to mess with changing over to Aspen Tower. Just stay with these guys here and allow Aspen Approach to contact Aspen Tower and tell him what's going on and clear the path for him to come on in with his emergency. Great call on that Mayday call. Loud and clear, Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. Got everybody's attention, so everybody's clear as to what is going on with this situation. So the winds are good out of the north, and he's going to land on to the runway going to the north. I think it's runway 33. We'll look at the airport diagram here.
Okay, so I'm at 11.5. I got plenty of altitude now. I've got gear down and flaps to go and speed brakes to go. I might try the shot another orbit.
So he put his gear down. It sounds like initially when you first listen to it, wow, he got his gear down early. But if you look at his altitude, he needs that gear down to help him get down. He's got a lot of altitude to lose in a short amount of time.
486, Papa Bravo, how do you hear?
Mike Foxtrot, Tower advises you are cleared to land runway 33. Again, the wind 050 at 5.
Okay, clear land 33, Mike Fox, Roger.
Catcher 871, turn left heading up 350.
So he got the clearance to land from Aspen Approach without having to switch over to Aspen Tower. One less thing to do.
Left 350, Catcher 871.
Number 6 for Mike Fox. Say again, personnel on board and still remaining in time.
One person aboard, and we have 2.5 hours of fuel aboard.
Thank you.
He did not run out of fuel.
Digit 110, turn to right, heading up 150, and about to the top of your holding turn.
Right turn 150, digit 110.
What's the runway length at Aspen, Mike Fox?
Number 61, Mike Foxtrot. The runway length is 8,060.
Okay, all right. I'm on final. I'm going to guess I'm on 1 mile final. I'm descending out at 9,000. This is my shot. I'm going for it.
So that was his shot. He's going for it. He was at 1,000 feet above the ground on a 1 mile final, gear, flaps, and speed brakes. So he had the electric speed brakes on this 210 to help him lose that high amount of altitude. So Chris had been taking pictures of his flight all the way over the Rockies, and he felt so comfortable as to his position here that he shot a very short little video clip during that time of the ATC transmission where they're asking him, say, souls on board, and he says one person on board. Here's the little clip that he got. Here's what it looked like. So let's go back here and look. There's the bank of clouds that he's dealing with over the airport that he's got to kind of snake in underneath. And if we look back over here, you see that one gauge. There's one gauge we can see. It's not a fuel gauge that reads 0. It is a oil pressure gauge. Oil pressure is 0. Here it is right over here. It looks like oil pressure 0, I believe, on this gauge right there. So the engine seized up. Don't know exactly why this engine quit. Chris was wanting to get this engine overhauled. In fact, he was heading over to Western Skyways to see about getting this engine overhauled. It was not over TBO, but it was getting to be an older engine, and well, now he's going to go ahead and buy a factory new engine from Continental and have it installed here at the Aspen Airport. Chris was able to land just fine here on runway 33 and rolled out all the way here to Alpha 3 and rolled off of the runway right into the FBO, just like Bob Hoover with Deadstick. And a couple of business jets were sitting down here waiting for his emergency arrival the whole time. And so he just cleared the runway and got met by a fuel truck and stepped right out and opened up that pocketbook to go get himself a brand new engine. Good job, Chris. Thank you so much for your support of this channel, especially the folks over on Patreon that make this content possible. We love to see more of these happy endings here on the Blancolirio channel. See you here.